Good morning, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing alright. Guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 different frameworks. The first framework that I'm going to be sharing will totally stop you from revenge trading. The second framework that I'm going to be sharing will stop you from moving your stop loss in the middle of your trade, hoping that the market will eventually push back in your direction. The third framework that I'm going to be sharing will stop you from hesitating when you look at a trade that you should be taking, however you overthink it and therefore you hesitate taking it. I'm going to share a framework that will stop you from doing that. That's number 3. Number 4, I will be sharing with you a framework that will tell you exactly what take profit do you need to use with the trade that you are currently taking. So you don't move your take profit level in the middle of your trade hoping for some more gains. Number 5, I'm going to be sharing with you a framework that will totally stop you from doubting your trading system when it's going through an underperformance phase or through a losing streak. This way you can maintain smooth execution regardless of that doubt creeping in basically when your system is going through a rough patch. Now let's get right into it and let me start sharing those 5 frameworks. Guys, I figured throughout my life that my brain refers for my heart's guidance when it doesn't have an intellectual answer to the question that I'm asking it. I'll give you an example. Let's say, or in other words, let me explain it first a little bit more. My brain is like, I don't know what to do, so let me feel my way into deciding what to do. Alright, let me give you now an example. Let's say there's a guy called David, alright? And I am right now evaluating whether I should be trusting David or not. So first I ask my brain, I'm like, is David trustworthy? And guess what, guys? There is no intellectual framework that objectively measures the trustworthiness of someone. And for example, produces a result like, okay, David is 8 out of 10 trustworthy. And then I'm like, okay, trustworthy, let me trust David. There's no intellectual framework. And therefore my brain would be confused. My brain would be like, should I trust David? I don't know. And therefore it seeks my heart's guidance for an answer. It's like, what do you think? And then my heart is like, I feel like I can trust David. And then I trust David. So my brain only refers back to my emotions, to my heart, when it doesn't have an intellectual answer to the question that I'm asking it. If we go towards food, for example, this is another very good example actually, which is people, when they want to decide what to eat next, they don't have an intellectual framework on deciding what to eat next. So what they do is they're like, I don't know what to eat next. So let me feel my way into taking that decision. What would I like to eat? Would I like some pasta? No. Would I like some burgers? No. Would I like a hot dog? A hot dog seems interesting. Let me go ahead and get a hot dog. So since there's no intellectual framework to decide what to eat next, people would rely on their hearts to decide what food to eat next based on what cravings they have at that point in time. Now, if someone wanted to stop relying on their emotions to decide what food to eat next, what do they need to do? They need to create an intellectual framework that decides what they eat next. Because if they have an intellectual framework, then their brain wouldn't seek their heart's guidance, right? Because as I said, seeking the heart's guidance is a backup plan to when the brain doesn't have an intellectual answer. So, how do we create an intellectual framework for food? Very easy. We create a meal plan, right? That's what meal plans are for. When we create a meal plan, that meal plan becomes our framework to decide what to eat next. So if I'm sitting right now and I'm like, I'm feeling hungry, what should I eat next? My brain refers to the intellectual framework and it's like, I have a way to determine the answer. I know the answer. Based on the meal plan, I should have rice and chicken and lentil soup. And then I have rice and chicken and lentil soup. Now, if that meal plan didn't exist, then my brain is like, I don't have an intellectual answer. Heart, what would I like to eat? Okay, those are the cravings that I have. Let's eat that. So, as I said, the point that I'm trying to make very clear here is that our brain refers to our heart for answers when it doesn't have an intellectual answer to give us. So it's like, I don't know what to do. Let me feel my way into deciding what I need to do. Now, I've noticed throughout my trading career that the majority of my emotional problems stem from the fact that my brain was confused. It didn't find an answer, it couldn't determine an answer, and therefore it sought my heart guidance, and therefore my heart was deciding and my emotions were deciding for me on what I need to do next. For example, let's talk about revenge trading, which is the first item on our list here. When it comes to revenge trading, guys, what is revenge trading? Revenge trading is I take a trade right now, the market hits my stop loss, and then I'm like, well, based on every factor that I have, I still believe that the market needs to go up, even though it just hit my stop loss. So should I re-enter or should I not re-enter? Re-entering is usually considered revenge trading. Now here's the thing, guys. When I ask this question to my brain, I'm like, should I re-enter or should I not re-enter? What do you think, brain? My brain is like, well, based on every factor that I have here, this market could push up or most probably will push up. So if I re-enter, I get to make my money back. Now, there's a problem that if I re-enter, there's also the possibility that I end up losing one more trade in addition to the trade that I already lost. So, should I re-enter or should I not re-enter? Right? It's confusing. Everyone falls in this dilemma of like, I believe it's going up. Should I re-enter or should I not? Re-entering could make me my money back. However, at the same time, I could re-enter and still lose more money. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And you're confused, right? And as a result of these conflicted thoughts, your brain is confused. And therefore, it's like, okay, let me feel my way into making that decision. Should I re-enter? What do you think, heart? And then your heart is like, I would really like to make my money back. So then you re-enter. And that is called revenge trading. Now guys, I solved this issue for me. And I also solved it for most people that I ever worked with by applying this one framework. I tell people, whenever someone comes to me and is like, I have a problem revenge trading, I say the following. Go backtest 100 trades using your trading system and measure the P&L of those 100 trades. And then go re-backtest those same 100 trades, but this time for every loss that you take, re-enter one more time. That's it. For every stop loss, you re-enter one more time. And measure the P&L of that second 100 trade batch as well. Now let's say what happens is that people go, they do the two backtests, and for the first one, their P&L after 100 trades, it's 6% in profits. And for the second batch of 100 trades and retaken a trade after every loss, the P&L is 2%. So the difference between 6% and 2% is 4%. That is the cost that you're paying for revenge trading. That is the cost that you're paying when you re-enter. You're paying 4% per 100 trades to re-enter. Is that a cost that you want to continue paying? The majority of people, guys, even though it's very simple, the majority of people, when they have an actual cost to doing something, it becomes much easier to not do that thing. Because when you think about revenge trading, usually you're thinking individually. You're thinking, if I take this trade now, I could possibly benefit or I could possibly lose more. Now, when I bring you in and I say, listen, man, there's a 4% per 100 trades cost for re-entering. Do you want to do it? And they're like, I pay 4% off of my profits to re-enter for every 100 trades that I take. I'm like, yes, like, I don't want to do it anymore. Most people get turned off about re-entering or revenge trading the moment they see an actual cost to the thing, when they become aware of this piece of information. Because the next time they see a trade hit their stop loss, they will ask their brain the same question. They'll be like, should I re-enter or should I not re-enter? And their brain will refer to that framework, will refer to that cost, and it'll be like, the cost of re-entering is 4% per 100 trades, and therefore I don't want to do it. It will not seek the heart's guidance because it has an intellectual answer to give you. It is not confusing anymore. There is a specific cost measurement that your brain can reflect back on and be like, the cost of re-entry is 4% per 100 trades. Okay, I don't want to do it. Most people, that solves their problem. That's it. Being aware of the cost that they pay for re-entering. Most people don't know that. And therefore they might imagine that by re-entering, they get to be more profitable because they're making the right decision by re-entering and by believing in their analysis. And therefore, when you show them that if you believe in your analysis enough to re-enter, you will be paying a certain amount of money per 100 trades, and that is the exact amount of money that you will be paying, they're like, people hate spending, guys. It's not a secret. So people are like, okay, you know what? I don't want to spend that money just to believe in my analysis. Fuck my analysis. I'm not going to re-enter anymore. When you give a specific cost, a specific number to your brain to reflect back on, it will most probably be turned off from ever revenge trading again because you see the cost of doing so, right? That is the intellectual framework that completely stopped me from revenge trading. I see the cost, I don't want to pay it. As simple as that. Now guys, quick disclaimer. I'm interrupting your video here. Here's the thing, guys. There's a lot of usernames on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok that resemble my username. On Discord as well. A lot on Discord, actually. And they keep messaging people, offering them all sort of services, whatever. Guys, I will never DM you first, all right? Beware of scammers. The only way to possibly apply to become one of my next 5 students for my next classes is through the link in the description of that video. That's it. There is no DMs. There is no shortcuts. We won't talk together in the DMs and then I'll be like, I like the way that you're buttering me up. So yes, you're accepted in the mentorship. No selectivity process. No, there's no shortcuts, no DMs. The only way to apply is through the link in the description. That's it, right? Please beware of scammers. Let's continue the video. Now I want you to imagine a trader. This trader is called Jimmy. Let's call him Jimmy. Right, now Jimmy goes to the charts and decides to take a trade. Jimmy takes a trade and then wonders, where should I place my stop loss? Should I place it below the first low after my entry? Or should I place it below the second low after my entry? Jimmy sits there thinking, he's confused, he's getting all these conflicted thoughts like, what should I do? If I place it below the first low, I get a higher risk to reward ratio and then I could make more money. But if I place it below the second low, then it is a wider stop loss, a lower risk to reward ratio, but at the same time I allow the markets to breathe and it's not a very tight stop loss. What should I do? He's conflicted. He doesn't know where to place his stop loss exactly. So he's like, I don't know. Let me refer back to my heart. Heart, what do you think I should do? And then the heart is like, well, I would like to make the most money possible. So how about you place it below the first low? Jimmy then places his stop loss or feels his way into placing his stop loss below the first low because his heart was like, I would like to make the maximum amount of money, so let's do that. Now, as the market is pushing in the opposite direction and it's approaching his stop loss area, Jimmy feels like a dumbass. He's like, oh, fuck. I knew I made the wrong decision. I should have placed my stop loss below the second low. So Jimmy now, feeling like a dumbass, is like, I need to make this right. I made the wrong decision. I need to make it right. Let me move my stop loss and place it below the second low. And therefore, this way I would have fixed the wrong decision that I made. The emotional decision that I made. Right now I'm making a logical decision by moving my stop loss from the first low and placing it below the second low. Now the market continues to go in the opposite direction, approaching his second stop loss, and now he's like, oh fuck, I should have kept it at the first low. Look at that, now it's going to the second low. I'm a fucking dumbass. I made 2 emotional decisions twice, and now I'm going to lose twice the amount of money that I should have lost. Fuck, what should I do? And now Jimmy is like, I don't want to admit defeat. I don't want to lose this money. It would really hurt me to admit that I'm the fucking dumbass that lost twice the amount of money that we should have lost. So let me remove my stop loss altogether. And then Jimmy removes his stop loss, hoping that the market would come back in his direction eventually, where he could close that trade around break even or in a bit of profits. Now, the market then continues going in the opposite direction forever and accumulating more and more and more losses until Jimmy is margin called and he just blew his account. all right, happens to a lot of traders, all right? Now, whenever I work with someone who exhibits these behaviors, I don't blame it on psychology, because usually those traders will come to me for psychological advice, like, how do I stop doing this shit? I'm in a dark place, and how can I solve that? And I'm like, it's not a psychological issue. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's an information issue. And the reason why I say it's an information issue, because guys, let's admit it here. This whole cycle that led to Jimmy blowing his account started with the fact that he was confused about the best area to place his stop loss at, right? He was confused, he was conflicted, he didn't know where is the best area to place his stop loss at, so he felt his way into making that decision. This is where the whole problem started. Everything after that led to him blowing his account is just a reaction. It's like a downward spiral into blowing his account. However, essentially, it was just him being confused about what stop loss to use. So he felt his way into taking a decision, and then he figured that that decision might be wrong, and then he kept trying to fix it. Now, if Jimmy wasn't confused about which stop loss area to use, let's say Jimmy was very confident. It was like, okay, I'll take a trade, I will place my stop loss below the first low. That is the best stop loss area to use. Over time, that will make me the most money. That's where I should place my stop loss. And he placed it there. If the market then approached that stop loss area going in the opposite direction, it wouldn't trigger him to change that stop loss, because, as I said, he's very confident about it. He's like, that's the best stop loss area to use over time. I'm not going to change it. So he was going to keep it there and not go on this downward spiral of trying to fix that decision by taking even more wrong decisions and blowing his account. So how can we limit Jimmy's confusion and increase his confidence about the stop loss area that he should be using? Basically, how can we create an intellectual framework that would tell Jimmy what would be the best stop loss area to use for his trades, so he's no longer confused and no longer seeks his heart's guidance to feel his way into placing a stop loss, basically. Now, the intellectual framework is very simple, guys. It's the same as the first one. Jimmy, go backtest 100 trades using the first stop loss, which is placing your stop loss below one low, and then go backtest those same 100 trades again, placing your stop loss below the second low, and see which one would produce more profits over time. Let's say the stop loss that is below two lows generated 6% in profits over 100 trades, and placing your stop loss below one low generated 2% in profits over 100 trades. So obviously, the one placed below two lows will generate you more profits over time. Now, if I show Jimmy these numbers, and I go to Jimmy and I'm like, would you like to place your stop loss below the first low or below the second low? Jimmy will look at the numbers. I will be like, are you fucking stupid? Of course I'm going to choose the second low, because it generates me 4% in additional profits over 100 trades. And then Jimmy will confidently choose the second low without being confused on whether he should place it below the first low or the second low, because he has seen with his own eyes and with numbers the price of setting his stop loss below one low and the reward of setting his stop loss below two lows. Now that he has these numbers, his brain can reflect back on them anytime Jimmy is trying to make a stop loss decision. So the next time Jimmy takes a trade, he'll be like, should I place my stop loss below the first low or below the second low? And then his brain will be like, are you a fucking dumbass? Like, we've seen the numbers, like 6% for the second low and only 2% for the first low over 100 trades. Let's make more money. Let's place it below the second low. So therefore then he'd place it below the second low as a result. And as I mentioned for the revenge trading problem, guys, the same thing for this problem. A lot of traders who were falling into these behaviors, once they applied these solutions here, once they applied this framework here, and they saw the numbers, and they saw which stop loss they should be using confidently, it no longer was a problem for them. Now I think you guys get the idea here, so I'm going to move real quick with the next frameworks. I think you guys understand how confusion leads the brain to the heart's guidance, and you understand why creating those intellectual frameworks is very important for your brain not to seek your heart's guidance, and therefore you would make a lot less emotional decisions, and therefore you'd become more profitable as a result of making less emotional decisions. Now, number 3, hesitation when it comes to taking a trade. All right, this is the third framework. Now, people would look at a trade and it would be like, okay, I have this trade, I really want to buy, I have this buy setup. However, right below my buy setup, there's a double bottom, which I consider to be liquidity. And therefore, I don't know if that's a good decision to make right now, if I should buy or I should not buy, because there's a double bottom right below my entry, and traders are confused and they're like, I don't know what I should do. And they overthink their way into stagnation, into not taking a decision, into not taking that trade, and then they watch that trade move towards their take profit, and they're like, fuck, I overthought that, I shouldn't have overthought that, how can I stop overthinking? And then they come to me and they're like, Roy, how do I stop overthinking? And I'm like, you don't have an overthinking problem. You're confused. You need information. Go backtest 100 trades where there's a double bottom right before your entry, and see what results it produces. Is it profitable results or is it unprofitable results? Oh, it's profitable results, then guess what? You should be trading when there's a double bottom right below your entry. Oh, it's unprofitable results, then guess what? You shouldn't be trading when there's liquidity right below your entry. As simple as that. Where there's confusion, solve it with data. You're not overthinking. You're just ignorant about what's the right move to do. That's it. Solve it by knowing what's the right move to do, by backtesting and gaining that knowledge. Simple as that. Now, moving TP mid-trade, or how do we decide what take profit do we use for our specific trade? Now, traders will take a trade, market will move in their direction. As it's approaching the take profit, they'll be like, I can squeeze some more profits off of that trade. Let me move my take profit higher and higher and higher and higher as the trade is going higher and higher. And then suddenly the market goes down on them and they're like, I'm really greedy. I should stop being greedy. It's an emotional problem. Roy, how do I stop being greedy? And I'm like, I haven't stopped being greedy. And they're like, well, how are you profitable if you're greedy? Like, greed leads to a lot of bad decisions, doesn't it? And I'm like, no, you're ignorant. That's why it's leading you to a lot of bad decisions, respectfully. Now, here's the thing. I am greedy, you are greedy. I backtested 100 trades using 1-to-7, 1-to-8 risk to reward ratio. And I backtested 100 trades using 1-to-2 and 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio. And the trades that are with 1-to-2 and 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio generated more profits over 100 trades than the 1-to-7, 1-to-8 risk to reward ratio 100 trades. As simple as that. And therefore, because I'm greedy and because I want to make more money, I use a lower TP area and I don't extend it, because a 1-to-2, 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio with my strategy will generate more profits over 100 trades than the 1-to-7 and 1-to-8 risk to reward ratio. As simple as that. You are ignorant about which take profit would generate you the most profits, and therefore you guess in the middle of your trade. You're like, I'm confused. What take profit generates the most profits? Let me try 1-to-3, and then the market's pushing in your direction. Let me try 1-to-5, still pushing in your direction. Let me try 1-to-7. Let me try 1-to-8. You don't know. You're confused, and you're making emotional decisions. However, if you knew for sure with numbers via your backtest that 1-to-3 and 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio generate more profits over 100 trades than 1-to-7 and 1-to-8, then of course your brain will be like, am I fucking stupid? I want to make more money. I'm greedy. Let me use 1-to-2 and 1-to-3. I am greedy. The same as you. It's not that I stop the greed by being humble. No, I am greedy. You are greedy. We both want to make the maximum profits possible. You're trying to do it the wrong way. You're trying to do it by consistently increasing your take profit size because you think that that's the way to generate the most profits. While I actually backtested and measured the actual way to generate the most profits. And I figured that 1-to-6, 1-to-7 will generate me less profits over time than 1-to-2 and 1-to-3. So I use 1-to-2 and 1-to-3 because I'm greedy and I want to make more money. Just like you want. So therefore, as I said, you're confused. Solve the confusion with data, with information. Very simple, right? That is the framework for your take profit. Now, number 5, doubting your trading system when it's going through a losing streak or when it's going through underperformance. Now, this topic is different than the ones that we've done before. Why? Because backtesting usually doesn't solve that issue. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, well, my system behaves well in 2022, but right now we're in 2025. So my system could be behaving well in 2022, but it could be underperforming in 2025. Why should I continue using it? Right? Who tells me that it will be profitable in the future, even though it was profitable in the past? Right? So whenever I see someone going through underperformance or through a losing streak, and they're like, I'm doubting my system, I cannot solve that issue by telling them to backtest. Because even if they backtest, they're like, well, yeah, obviously it's profitable in 2022, but right now it's going through underperformance, so it could be not profitable for this year. Should I continue using it? Should I not continue using it? How do I determine that answer? In order to determine an answer, I revisit that thought, which says that if you have a fucked trading system, a trading system that is really unprofitable, how do you fix it? Right? How do you make it perform? And it's like you use it for long enough time and you lose a lot using it, and then you analyze these losses, this data that was generated as a result of you using your trading system. And when you analyze this data, you figure out what patterns usually cause your losses, and then you avoid the trading in the future when those specific patterns emerge, therefore minimizing your losses, therefore increasing your profitability. So you fix an unprofitable trading system by using it long enough that it generates you losses, and you can then look at these losses and figure the patterns in between of those losses, so you can then, as I said, avoid trading when those patterns emerge in the future. So now, therefore, if your system is profitable, you should continue using it, obviously, because it's making you money. And if your system is unprofitable, then you should continue using it, because this is the way that you fix an unprofitable trading system, by continuing to use it over time, allowing it to generate data on losses, and then analyzing these losses and figuring out how to minimize them, thus increasing profitability. So whether you have a profitable trading system or you have an unprofitable trading system, in both cases, you should continue using your trading system, because that is the only way to fix it if it's unprofitable. And at the same time, if it's profitable, of course, using it over time will generate you money. So in both cases scenario, you should continue using your trading system. So whenever someone comes to me and they're like, Roy, I doubt my trading system, I don't know if I should continue using it. Yes, the backtest is positive, however, I don't know if it lost its profitability somehow. I don't know if I should continue using it, or should I just alter to another trading system and all that. I'm like, well, okay, let's agree, your system sucks. Let's say that is the case. Your system sucks. How do you fix it? You continue to use it. So if your system sucks, you continue to use it. If your system doesn't suck, you continue to use it to generate money. So either ways, the answer is continue to use it, produce data as a result of using it, then analyze this data and optimize your system based on this data. That is the right way to go on about it. So as I said, in both case scenarios, you should continue using your trading system. And that thought now makes me continue using my system regardless if I'm going through an underperformance phase or not, because I'm like, if it sucked, then the only way I can fix it is by continuing to use it and then optimizing it. So there we go, I'm going to continue to use it. That's it, guys. Those are the 5 frameworks that I adopted that solved a lot of my emotional questions or emotional problems. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Goodbye, guys.